Hi, I'm Ryan Sadam, Chief Experience Officer and co-founder of Client Savvy. We're thrilled to have you back as we wrap up our CXPS 2020 launch event. We do want to take a moment and recognize our sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. We could not do this without your support. Here's a brief introduction to each of our gold sponsors. We'll be right back.
Managing professional service relationships isn't getting any easier.
Project managers need robust and powerful tools to do their work and to detect the slightest nuances between performance and client expectations.
At Full Sail Partners, we help project-based firms use the Deltek platform to drive business forward. Are your investments translating into longer-term client relationships?
We'd love to explore these topics with you. After all, clients are expecting greater service every day. Let's give them an experience they'll want again and again. If we don't, the competition sure will.
Hi, I'm Reed Tolley. We help organizations hire or promote the right people for the right jobs and develop robust talent pipelines. We introduce talent analytics into organizations for the purpose of making better talent decisions in order to improve business processes. We recently created a job profile match for the best CX leaders in the industry and can create matches for any positions you are working to fill. Our biggest advocates have all tried this for themselves. To get your own personal and complimentary assessment, contact me at read@talentmatters.solutions.
Welcome CXPS cohorts. I'm Chad Kleinens, President and CEO of Zwei Group, a research, publishing, training, and advisory company to the AEC industry. One of our major product offerings, awards, are currently open for entry. And awards are very important right now as it keeps your people focused on success. In addition to the positive energy that awards create, they also generate millions of data points. One recent question we asked during COVID is the biggest challenge of working from home. And interestingly, the results are a complete reversal of results we were getting pre-COVID. Find out more about these results, our awards, and other products and services at zweigroup.com.
All right, welcome back everyone. And thank you again to our gold sponsors for your support. Today, we're going to start with a keynote from Mitch Reno. That'll take us the next 30 minutes or so. After that, we'll have a Q&A between Mitch and Deb, and then wrap up our time with a final mural activity and breakout rooms for collaboration and Q&A. I encourage you to go ahead and join the mural if you haven't already. You should have an email with the link, but we'll paste it into the Zoom chat window as well. Now, I would like to welcome Mitch Reno, Principal Director of Client Experience at Riemann. Mitch has been a part of the CXPS community for a couple of years, and those who have heard him speak before knows he has a very strong voice talking about CX from the front lines. Mitch will be bringing us Legally Blind, How Losing My Vision is Helping Me Learn How to See Better. Mitch, take it away.
Hi, I'm Mitch Reno, and I'm legally blind. I gotta tell you, it's the first time I've ever said that to a group of people. Pretty emotional, frankly. In fact, coming out as legally blind is maybe a little bit more challenging than coming out as gay. But we'll get to that story a little bit later. My hope today is that we're going to have an opportunity to really delve into this human experience factor in sort of a personal way from my experience and journey of losing my vision. My perception is that we have an opportunity, all of us, to do a better job of listening and understanding and empathizing with the human condition. And perhaps all of us can learn one or two things from some of the experiences that I've had and how they relate to us all being uniquely human. Frankly, I would even challenge us to say that if we can all look at the human experience factor a little bit more closely in the work that we do on a daily basis, that we ultimately could revolutionize the way we approach our jobs and the impact that we can have in our roles as client experience leaders. So here we all are. It's a new world. We're certainly all facing a new normal. This pandemic has changed the face of how we live today and certainly how we're going to live tomorrow. I'm hoping that we're going to be able, during the next 30 minutes or so, really begin to examine and think about the ways that we're going to have to connect as human beings, the ways that we're going to have to work together, but more importantly, the ways that we as client experience leaders can begin shaping the design of those human connections as we go forward. Whether it's working with employees or working with clients, we have a powerful play in what that's going to look like in the future. So let's work together as I go through telling some of my story to really recognize the subjective differences that there are among all people, among all human beings, and see if we think in some ways understanding those unique differences that not necessarily in spite of, but in light of those differences, we can truly design and focus on connecting more effectively within the work that we do. The growth play model of human experience and really understanding the client experience and that spirit of giving hope, looking at the employee experience and really giving purpose. And what about the revenue experience of delivering wisdom and value? And of course, the brand experience, which is all about giving inspiration to a marketplace and a community. All those are bound by the human experience. And frankly, that's what we want to really investigate and learn a little bit more about today. So I hope that you'll be comfortable in doing that with me today. So what about this human being? Well, I was born in Michigan and raised as an only child out in the country of a small town called Frankenmuth. The town is about 7,500 people and is called Michigan's Little Bavaria. It really does look like a beautiful little German settlement with chalet motifs. As you can see, I was legally blonde in 1982, and I used those locks to do a pretty good job of spending some time in summer stock theater, helping to pay my way through college. I went to the University of Michigan and Michigan State University, the great divide, trust me, within our communities, but had the privilege of really laying a great foundation to become a CX leader in my organization, studying psychology, business, communications, advertising, and public relations. So for me, I had trouble making the decision of exactly what to study, but I had fun learning a lot of different disciplines. After college, I had the privilege of coming back and working at our Convention and Visitor Bureau and Chamber of Commerce in Frankenmuth, and then started my next journey at Amigo Mobility International, working as a sales and marketing manager for electric scooters, one that you can see here in a shopping market that you're probably used to seeing. Next, I went on to work at Michigan Sugar Company and Imperial Sugar, where I helped deliver thousands upon thousands of sugar, pounds of sugar into local communities. Beautiful opportunity. Finally, I ended up working at Raymond. And that's where I started my career as a chief marketing and sales officer. I did that for about 15 years with the organization. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've had the privilege of working at Raymond as the client experience director. And so I'm very much like you in the audience, and on a day-to-day basis, looking at what I can do to have an impact on the overall client experience and how we take ourselves to market. Raymond is a a unique professional services advisory organization. We have a top 40 CPA firm. We have a wealth management division. We also have a technology company that is made up of MSP and MSSP organization. And finally, we have a host of other business consulting organizations within that umbrella of our Raymond brand. For me, my privilege is the opportunity of being able to work with all of our cross-functional service teams to be able to take our Raymond advisory experience to market and make it special and unique. I've had a lot of time enjoying college football in my life, as well as gardening and other fun activities, but my biggest passions have been volunteering for local arts organizations, literally volunteering thousands of hours throughout my career. Many people would suggest, however, that I've been just as passionate about red wine and may have spent just as much time enjoying that. I'm lucky. In June, I will be celebrating 23 years with this handsome fella right here, and am fortunate that I have friends from high school, college, and early in my career that I continue to stay connected with. If you were my friend early in life, you're probably still my friend today. And of course, this is the view that I get to look at every single night in my home in Naples, Florida. As the sun goes down, I get to look at Reflection Lake and enjoy the beauty of nature. And of course, as you saw in the beginning, there's one more interesting fact about me that I shared. I'm legally blind. Now for me, that's been quite a journey over the last 5 or 6 years. Pretty difficult one to accept. I was diagnosed about 5 years ago with a condition called cone dystrophy. What that means is that the retina, the cones and the rods that reside there, simply don't like to take in as much information as they should, maybe 50 to 60% of the information that they should, which creates a fogginess. And where it can't pick up information, it just allows light to come in. So my world is far more diffused and foggy. I had the opportunity also to begin to learn a little bit more about what that 2200 means for legally blind. In fact, many of you might not know what the difference between 20/20 vision is and 2200. Well, I happen to be 2250, which means that if I stand 20 feet away from a sign on a wall and can read it, you, as someone with perfect or corrected vision of 20/20, you're able to read it at 250 feet away. So it's a fairly different type of disease to begin to experience, and a challenge that you face in so many ways on a daily basis. For a long time, gotta tell you, I was faking it. I really wanted to pretend that it wasn't happening for me personally, and I certainly didn't want others to have a strong idea that it was happening. But eventually, I recognized that everybody has some challenge that they face, and that this was mine, and I had to embrace it. So today, I want to tell you a little bit about that journey. I want you to begin to perhaps understand how that human condition led me to be what I think is potentially a better client experience director. That this experience has helped me understand the human condition in a different way. And when we really think about the human experience factor, that perhaps there is something that we can take away by drawing closer to that human understanding, and to understand our clients, to understand our employees in a way that we might not take the time to understand. I think all of us have this incredible opportunity, frankly, that if we look at the human condition, if we understand, and if we embrace our clients and employees and the community a little bit differently in a more human way, I think we can make a far more dramatic impact. The folks at Growth Play did a great job at talking about this model, the experience model. putting the human experience at the very center, that focus of giving hope, of giving purpose, of giving wisdom and value, and of course, giving inspiration to a community. I'd like to take a little bit of time now to talk about 7 areas that really have become clear to me as really keying into that human experience from my journey. The first one is frustration and anger. I think it's something that we all probably can connect with, but for me, it was my first response, and it was a continuing response for a while. For me, I've come to learn that frustration and anger really are a cue for a problem needing to be fixed, something to be adjusted. In fact, Salesforce did a recent study, and they said that 74% of the people that went through some type of frustrating buying experience would consider an alternative brand. As a CX leader, that's not where any of us want to be with our client experiences. For me, what it helped me understand is that I had to look at those opportunities where my employees or my clients were experiencing frustration and use those as cues and opportunities to make improvements. Next, of course, the fear of change. I think you can imagine that with this loss of vision, it's been a constant progressive change in how I've had to react. But guess what? I'm not the only person around here who's had to experience change and respond and react. I think all of you who are sitting probably in your home offices or in your dining rooms, listening to this today and enjoying what CXPS has created as a beautiful virtual community exchange. All of us are adapting to that change of the COVID-19 pandemic virus, and it's impacting all of us differently as humans. Now, I'm kind of lucky. For me, honestly, I kind of love change. I've always loved change. This wasn't the best possible change, but for me, I decided to embrace it. I decided that for me, I had to get in front of it and try to manage through that process. I don't think there's any better way for client experience professionals to do this than to really go through great journey mapping exercises, really to look at the current process and to identify those interchanges between clients and our employees and look for the opportunities of what that experience is from a truly human basis. For us, if we truly dig into what Deb Knupp was talking about with Maslow's needs, or if we really understand the motivation of power, achievement, and affiliation, if we truly look at what's happening with the individuals and the people that we're interacting with and design into that process, we create great opportunity in creating loyalty and retention of our client base. Let's take a look at being different. For me, this was a similar journey that I had gone through back in the 1980s. For me, understanding and accepting that I was gay was something that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with for myself, and I certainly wasn't comfortable with how other people might feel about it. Ironically, I went through the same type of experience in losing my vision. I didn't certainly want to get comfortable and accept it, and I was really scared how other people would react to it. For me, I eventually, just like I did back in the 1980s, had to embrace who I was. I had to embrace the difference. I think you've all had the opportunity probably to read the Seth Godin book, The Big Moo. I think you'll remember it with the purple cow on the front of the cover. Well, Seth told us, hey, embrace the difference. Try to focus on being a remarkable organization. Do something different. And as professional service firms, sadly, we all try to be like our peers. We try to emulate them and copy their best practices, when in fact, as client experience leaders, I think we have this incredible opportunity of focusing how do we design special, unique, and different experiences. B2C versus B2B has been doing this for a while, right? They're great at personalization. They're great at looking at the psychographics and the demographics of their different audiences and figuring out ways to communicate and change the experience for those clients. We need to learn from that, and we need to move toward that as B2B professional service organizations if we really want to grow and sustain our practices. You can imagine that listening has been something that I've had to learn how to do a lot better. For me, losing my vision has really created a requirement that I compensate in other ways. You're probably having to compensate in other ways as well. Currently, you're working and focusing through virtual networks far more than you have before, and it's not like sitting in front of someone and interacting with them as an employee or a client. It's completely changed the process in many ways. So for me, I had to start asking more questions, but not just more questions. I had to change the type of questions I was asking. For me, I had to really focus on the emotion and the feeling that might be happening in my clients or coworkers that I couldn't necessarily see anymore from sitting across the table. So it changed the nature of how I was really trying to understand and listen. I think all of us in CX roles focus on voice of client surveys, focus groups, personal interviews. For me, how I've applied this and how it's really changed what I'm doing is I'm really starting to look not just at the happy clients or the unhappy clients, but I'm trying to focus on those clients that I'm not hearing from, those clients in the middle that are neither raving fans nor dissatisfied, but really seeking ways to touch them and understand far more effectively why they aren't a raving fan yet. I think that's something that we all can probably do more effectively, and it will have a profound impact on increasing revenue and the likelihood that we can sell more and diverse services and expand that share of wallet. Let's talk a little bit about empathy. For me, honestly, thinking about my vision loss is something that happens every day. It's something that I have to deal with every day. It's very easy for me to be narcissistic and focus on myself. But as time has passed, what's actually ended up happening for me isn't as much about focusing on me as it's helped me understand that I need to focus on others, that everybody has something that they're facing. Everybody has some type of challenge that they have to overcome. And it's really made me more empathetic. And it's changed the way I really think about my job and my role as a CX leader. I found that I really want to understand our clients and our employees and how they're feeling about the experiences that we go through on a much deeper basis. Let's face it, along any client experience, there are high points and there are low points. What's key for us is to really dig into those emotional highs and emotional lows and figure out what the true triggers are for employees and clients in those moments. What are the human elements and the human emotions that are at play? And how do we, in fact, redesign our experiences? How do we retrain our employees to respond to those situations, to optimize them and add value? That's how we can make a difference. Well, for me, it's all about innovation. I have to tell you, losing my sight has required a reapproach to everything that I do. Luckily, we're in this incredible time of technological evolution. And so I have an incredible stack of technology, that large video screens to review things on. I have the ability to have Zoom technology to increase things to 400 or 500% so I can read emails. I have the ability for my email to be read to me. All of those things help me do my job and live my life. But also, it's not just the technologies, the process of how I live on a daily basis has to change. And what I've taken away from all of that for me as a CX leader is that I really have to understand the connecting point between process and technology when it comes to change. Because if your organization's anything like mine, we're looking at innovative ways to use technology to remove the cost of doing business with our clients. But instead of simply looking at how do we remove the cost through the implementation of digital transformation technologies, let's instead take those opportunities to reach out to our clients from a change management perspective and truly understand how they want to implement ease in doing business, how they would implement the change of technology and how they interface with us. In any technological user experience, we must begin relying more effectively on our clients to inform both the process of change in the implementation of technology, as well as the type of technology and how it's designed. That can be a win-win for all of us. Now I'd like to talk finally about collaboration. For me, I've always been a pretty independent person. And losing my sight meant I lost a lot of independence. I have to depend on a lot of people to be able to get where I need to go. But more importantly, on a day-by-day basis, I have to collaborate with my coworkers to a degree and to a level that I didn't have to depend on them before. What that's made me cue into is the opportunity that collaboration with employees and our clients and creating that connecting point with them creates an incredible opportunity for improvement. So instead of just conducting focus groups with clients and trying to collect that information or doing it separately, I've really started to look at how can I incorporate the employee and the client in the same focus group so that they can listen and hear from each other and collaborate on solutions together. That abundance mentality around working together and sharing and collaborating can really create unique improvements in the entire experience for both the employee and the client, but also allow them to cue in on those human emotions and those high points and those low points that we need to move toward. For me, those 7 areas really kind of enumerate and clarify some of what my emotional journey is, what my human experience has been in losing some of my sight. When we think about the X factor, the human experience factor, and focus on how much that can improve our focus on client experience and helping us bring hope, how it can help us improve the employee experience and give our associates more purpose, the revenue experience, and how we can deliver wisdom and value to try to drive growth and sustainability. And of course, in our communities, the brand experience, and how if we truly give inspiration in our communities, how we can get so much more recognition. All of that seems to be so important, and I think so much more important for professional service organizations. Too often, we're focused on the job of just getting it done, doing good quality, and getting from point A to point B. But this is a human business. Professional services is about being human. And as client experience leaders, we have that opportunity to be change agents in our organizations. We have that opportunity really to shift the paradigm of how we approach our customers going forward. Talked a lot about those 7 areas of frustration and anger and change, the importance of listening, understanding, and empathizing, and the power of innovation and collaboration, and really reaching out and touching those human factors of how we design for better client experiences. So when we think about all of those things, what's next? Well, here you are. We're at this new starting point in our professions. in our world. It's a dramatic change and probably an incredible opportunity for us to think about how do we connect more effectively? How do we design those connections to be more human and more influential in this new normal, in this new world that we live in? I've shared a lot of the hurdles with you today that I face in my journey of becoming a legally blind person. But honestly, let's face it, we all have hurdles. We all have challenges. We're all human. My plea to you, my encouragement to you is to lean into that challenge. Embrace it, learn from it. I really want you to seek to overcome those challenges that are holding you back as a client experience leader in your organization. Jump around those blind spots, jump around those hurdles, and move forward. I truly believe you are destined to make that difference in your organization. So here's my challenge to you, and I think the rest of the team at CXps would join me in making this challenge. Don't let the hurdles stop you. Identify them, overcome them, and take that next step. Take that next step with us in focusing on that human experience. I believe you can be that difference maker in your organization. I believe firmly that you can be the human experience factor in your organization. Thank you for your time today.
Wow, thank you for such a powerful and potent message. I know I learned a lot, and I look forward to applying these lessons at Client Savvy, just like I'm sure those who are watching and listening right now are looking forward to applying these lessons in your own firms. Speaking of, we have a great community here inside CXps, Client Experience in Professional Services, and we hope you will join the CXps community if you haven't already. By joining CXps, you get to see and interact with great content like this, not just these on-demand recordings, but also live, interactive, online encounters through the Mural application that we're using, and live Friday Q&As with our schedule of speakers that we have coming at you all year long. We're not just bringing you webinars, we're bringing you real education and opportunities to engage and contribute, so we as a community can push the envelope and the boundaries for what CX, EX, and the overall human experience can be in professional services. I invite you to visit www.clientexperience.org to learn more about this community and join us. We'll put you into a cohort of peers. These will be the 8 to 10 people you spend a lot of time with in the next several months or years, working together and solving CX and EX problems in your own firms as a group. This group has become my own personal board of directors when it comes to CX in my organization, and I know they can be the same for you. So again, clientexperience.org, and look for our regularly scheduled knowledge sharing modules. They'll be released about every 2 weeks. In these knowledge sharing modules, we'll release content on a Sunday, both video and podcast version for you to watch or listen on demand. We'll have the mural activities all week long to interact with your peers in a synchronous and asynchronous manner. And then those live Q&As on Friday with breakout sessions to meet and network with new people inside the community. Thanks so very much. We appreciate your time and attention and look forward to seeing you at an upcoming breakout and networking session soon.